So, Frank, the first question I love asking guys is just why you decided to trust a random stranger to save your marriage. Like, what was going on in the marriage where you had to save it?
Ah, good question. So, you know, that's a great question. So it sort of happened in conjunction with a revitalization of a spiritual journey that, I was deep in prayer. I was trusting in God, but also I was like recognizing that practically speaking, man to woman or husband to wife, what I was doing wasn't working.
Right.
Right? And and so when I started seeing some of your promotion videos, I was like, this whole feminine idea, this idea of me sort of groveling, this idea of me being needy is the opposite of what really is going to work.
Right.
And the irony of like somebody like me is like, you know, like like I lived my life like a high school football player, like because I
Mm,
was one.
mm,
But then like I'm like, okay, I'm in my early 50s. If I'm this super confident masculine person, but then I'm appearing to my wife like a feminine needy person, that doesn't work.
no.
Because probably what was attractive to her early on was an assertive leader, right? But then but I realized through your courses that I was doing things the whole time in my marriage that were feminine.
Mm,
Like, like I want to buy a boat and I want to live this big life, but then when she wants to talk about the bills, I'll be like, no, I don't want to talk about that. So she'd like, well, too bad. Like you have to talk about that because we have bills, right? So I was doing certain things that were feminine, which was decreasing her attraction to me, but not realizing I was doing it.
right. And that's it, right? That's the sin right there. That's the devil, right? It's like not the unawareness of it all, right? Not being aware of it, and creating
Yeah.
that awareness is the first step. So, so what actually like happened? Did she mention divorce? Did she move out? Like, what was there a trigger point that occurred?
Yeah. So what happened was we had some problems with my daughter in the fall.
Okay.
And I don't want to get too far into it, but there was some social media bullying that went on against my daughter, and
Mm,
it threw her into a tailspin.
mm,
And I had to fly out to Arizona to help her. We brought her back from college. All these things went on, and I was literally up in New Jersey for like pretty much in a 9 week period, pretty much 8 weeks. And so my wife kind of like stepped outside of our lives and recognized that after 10 years of her just sort of biting the bullet and just, being like, all right, well, God's got me in this marriage type of thing. Um, she was like, I don't really know if I want that life. I don't know if I want that person. And I don't really blame her. Like, I don't blame her. Like, I don't really want her to be married to the person that I was either.
gotcha.
So she started talking about separation, but she was saying, I'm not saying I want to get divorced. I'm
Mm,
just saying that I don't want to be married to that person. So we each kind of need to go on a little bit of our own journeys
right.
to figure out what's your journey, what's my journey, and sort of give this whole thing to God and say, where is this going to lead us? But she was confident enough to be like, if God says we should be married, then I'll listen to him. But if God says we shouldn't be married, which I didn't believe God would be saying that, because the Bible really doesn't say that. Um, but she also wanted to see if I was going to be different, right? If I was going to show up differently. And I knew I could, but I didn't know how I was going to get there.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
where your stuff came in.
Beautiful, man. Sounds like a good woman, by the way. I mean,
I mean, she's amazing.
yeah.
And she needed me to be at my best, not from a performance perspective,
Yeah.
but from a perspective of like, what are you doing to lead us? And what are you doing to lead the family? Because maybe I did not evolve in the 10 years that we were married into the person that she thought I was going to become.
Mm,
Instead, it was the same pattern. It was the same, like, you know, too much stuff, too much material stuff. I got to work hard. Well, why? Why do I have to work hard? Because I'm the one who created you know, the toys and the debt. Like, so, and I don't want that either, by the way. I'm not getting any younger. Like,
Yeah,
we need to like minimize that stuff, get rid of it, like, and do the things that God calls us to do, which is serve his kingdom, help others that are not as fortunate of us, manage the money wisely, not unwisely.
that's right.
So I was just like the Tasmanian devil, like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and she was just, supposed to clean up the mess.
Yeah, that doesn't make her feel safe at all, does it?
Makes you feel unsafe,
Yeah, exactly.
which is
So,
what I was realizing.
yeah, absolutely. So let's fast forward now a little bit. Where are you at? First of all, how long did you join the program, and then where are you at right now with her? How are things?
That's a good question. Like, I don't know exactly when I joined the program, but I feel like it was like the end of October
Okay,
of 25.
few months. Yep.
Yeah, and then everything changed with us on December 21st.
Tell me more.
So it looks like it was quick, right? But like she started talking about separation um maybe early October,
Okay.
end of September. I think I joined the program like the at the end of October. And then like you know, it's the same thing as making prayer deposits, right? Like I was praying like crazy every day, praying, 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 knowing that the spiritual world, the Holy Spirit could change this, but also making deposits of positive from what
Yeah.
I was learning in the course.
Right.
And the positive stuff was just not only words of affirmation, but honoring the things that I said I was going to do,
Mm,
right? Showing up masculine, doing the things I said I was going to do. Um, and the whole time she's like, no, 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 no. Like, like I'm not saying I want to get divorced, but I do want to be separated. So I was in a separate bedroom, which was interesting, which is fine. Like I was respectful, but for a period of time, maybe in the end of October to early December, she wanted me to look for my own place. And I was honoring that. So I was looking, but that was the last thing I wanted to do. And that was the last thing I thought would work. I'm like, I don't know. I might have been wrong, but I'm like, I don't know. Like getting a separate place for a year, I don't know. I don't know if I'm cool with that, but like I also want to respect your boundary. And if you want that, I'll do it. So I looked for a few places and I was miserable. I'm like, this is horrible. I don't want to, I don't want to do that, but I would have.
yep.
But I was just making deposits and just trying to just, honor who I was and be respectful of her. And then like all of those deposits, I guess, added up in a positive way. And on like the 21st of December, her whole position changes and she felt like she had a heart change, which was cool. All of our kids went to New Jersey to be with their parents for Christmas, which we had never had before. And we had a couple of days by ourselves before her brother came down with four little kids. The brother and the wife had like four kids under 9, which we were looking forward to. Everything changed, but it didn't change to the point where she fully trusted me. She changed and said, "All right, but I'm still very afraid of you being, kind of going back to that other person."
Right. Which is very common. And now let's go to where we're at now. It's how are things now?
Amazing.
How so?
Like just there's trust, there's momentum, there's communication that we kind of never had, and I am humble and I am not taking for granted that it's been a positive change, right? Like I'm just like every day build a little bit, right? Like because I want to get to a level that we never were at. And yeah, like I guess I was so busy chasing dollars and so busy like just being not humble and maybe not grateful for the little things that God gives us in our lives, that even like she loves Disney. Her and like two of my kids love Disney. And I would always be like, ah, I don't want to do that, you know? And so we went there for one of our kids' birthdays last month, and I was like, no, 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 I want to go. I want to go. Like, I'm cool. Like, I'm grateful to even be in the environment, right? Because I guess it's like the Scrooge, right? Like when everything's
That's what
threatened,
I pictured when I heard you say that. I was like, yeah, kind of like the Scrooge. Yeah.
Scrooge, yeah, like this miserable person. And, and like I never liked board games or and so like I'm just appreciating little things and all of those things I think for her are positive deposits,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And even more so, which we'll get into this a little bit more, but those when she brings you problems, that's also a possible positive deposit depending on how you deal with it, right? But so just to kind of wrap up this part of it, so if I was a fly on the wall, how could I tell the marriage is going well? You guys being affectionate, loving?
yeah,
Okay.
well, she's not an overly affectionate person, which is always something that I had a problem with.
Okay.
But I had a problem with it from a selfish perspective.
Mm,
Like I want the affection. So she's actually being a little more affectionate, but it's not at my request. It's more natural.
spontaneous. Wow. Okay.
It's I mean, it's not she's still not an overly affectionate person, but she's being more affectionate. So it's positive.
But
Yeah.
do you feel safe in the marriage right now? Like things are like more
Yeah.
stable? Yeah.
Yeah, like example. So we have this house on an island called North Captive Island that we lost in the hurricane, but well, we didn't lose it. It got wrecked. And we finished it.
Mm,
It took 3 years and a lot of money to fix it. But we're selling that because the rents just haven't come back. And then she wanted to sell the primary residence. And I was like, well, a little fearful. Like, if we sell that, then she's definitely going to say, you get your own place and I'll get my own place. But we're in agreement on where we want to live in the next house,
hmm
right? When we sell this house. So it's
Right.
positive, right? Because it's together, it's not separate. Um, so I do feel safe now. Like in the beginning, early December, I was like, okay, things change a little bit, but I'm afraid she's just gonna flip back. But I've just continued on the journey of honoring what I say I'm gonna do, um, communicating well with her, um, and enjoying the little things in the relationship. And yeah, it's actually better than it's ever been because we never started when we got married, it kind of just happened real fast. As ridiculous as this sounds, her sister and her parents were doing like a Disney trip, and their sister was like, "Well, maybe you guys should just get married if everything's going so well." But we rushed it. My kids were 12, our kids were 12 down to 6. And blending two divorced group of little kids was hard. Like
hmm
even little things like we had red and gold Christmas ornaments. She had blue Christmas ornaments, and our kids would argue about them. But that sounds goofy, but
It,
it causes strife.
yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't the person I think that she thought she was marrying, and then I didn't grow into that. And now I think she sees that I can become through work together the person that she wanted to be with. So there's positive there.
See that. So let's break that down. So what's one of the first lessons you learned within the program that helped you to get to where you're at now?
Well, men definitely should never be needy. And I don't actually think anybody should be needy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How
right?
how were you needy in the relationship that you can clearly see now?
I was not always needy.
Mm.
I was
Just when she
actually the
started to
op
pull, when she started to pull away, you became that way, right? Yeah, yeah,
100%.
yeah.
First, I was a jerk. Not really a jerk. Like I always cared about her, but I don't, but I wasn't the leader for the family that I should have been with the kids.
How so?
Just like it was tough with the stepkids, and I didn't show the intentional love towards them that I think I should have, right? So if the stepkids are part of her heart and I'm not loving them intentionally the way that her natural heart had a desire to love because they're, her biological children,
Hmm.
and I was favoring my biological children a little bit, maybe not even financially, just in my own heart, that sort of comes out in you know, um, the way that everybody's treated. And I wasn't mean to anybody, but I don't think I was putting the same effort in. Um, so the first thing I learned was neediness. But the second thing I learned was showing up in a way through the course that gives her confidence, right? So one of the pastor mentors of mine, the guy's name is Tim Goad. He's out of like northern Orlando, and he says to me, "Well, did she grow in your arms or shrink in your arms?"
Mm.
And it literally made me upset because I was like, she shrunk because I wasn't building her up the way that she should have been built up.
Right.
And how could you show up differently as a man in a relationship to encourage your wife? Because I was, I think, doing the opposite,
Hmm.
not consciously, but subconsciously. And in that time was the beginning of our like separation,
Yeah.
and it broke my heart.
Yep.
It broke my
And
heart because I had an opportunity to show up differently as a man in the marriage, and I showed up selfishly and weakly and didn't lead her.
yep.
And this is why when stuff started to hit the fan in the fall in our lives in general,
Mm.
she kind of took a look at this, maybe from an outside perspective and said, "Do I really want this? Is this what I signed up for?"
Yeah. And a biblical analogy is the shepherd to the flock, but I think a really good one that's even more apt is the idea of, as the man, like you're the gardener and she's the tree, right? And so the idea here is that providing her safety, a safe environment where you're leading, you're doing all the things we talk about as the apex man, the leadership, making her feel safe, you're calm, not reactive, all that stuff. That is giving her the right soil, enough sunlight, the water, and then what happens is that fruit is her feminine nature, right? That nourishes the rest of the family, right? Through her love and through her happiness. And so the antithesis of that is a guy who just, focuses on himself, goes inward, right? Neglects. She feels unseen, she feels unheard, and she's withering, right? And that's why it's a really good analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, the Apex, I forgot when you mentioned that. Like the Apex stuff was huge for me because I realized all the things I wasn't doing and all the ways I wasn't being
Hmm.
towards her and for the family
Yeah.
that I should have been and could have been and
Hmm.
still could do. But there was a period of time where your material was so huge because I was like, man, I hope I get the opportunity because I'm not sure if I'm going to get the opportunity. But all I could do is show up consistently the same way that the Apex man needs to. And then I guess subconsciously for her, it started to work because I'm sure it didn't just like flip a switch on December 21st. I'm sure it was those deposits.
And I just got off another call with a guy who saved his marriage, and he mentioned something that I can't prove through science, but he talked about just like, we have that you have a connection with her despite the physical space, right? She feels the changes. And I've seen it countless times where I can't deny it, Frank. And you can say God plays a role in that as well. But yeah, I mean, like whether you're there, she feels your changes are going on. And I just can't count how many times where a guy, when he finally understood the concept of like letting go, what leadership actually means, making her feel safe, where the wife always gets curious and comes back. It just happens.
Yeah. The Cobra contract too was huge for me
And
because
in what way? Yeah.
I realized I was doing it. So in my neediness and insecurity, because like I said, I was never, I'm not like that, but I was like that when she started to pull away.
Sure.
And I'd be like, just trying to do like offer things like, hey, I have that coupon to Men's Warehouse. Do you want to go to Men's Warehouse? And then maybe we can grab dinner after. But like, and she's funny because she's funny because she'll agree to go to Men's Warehouse and then she'll be like, all right, well, let's get these like 15 things. And I'm like, I didn't really want 15 things because that's expensive, you know. But we did go to dinner. But I realized that those were like me just trying to buy time with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. And it's so subtle because like your mind will even trick yourself to where like, no, I need to reach out to her for this thing. I actually have to. Right. But
Yeah.
she can sense where it's actually coming from. If you can or not, she'll sense the intuitive nature of like he's doing this because he needs to know that I'm still there, that I haven't completely abandoned.
Yeah.
But it's actually does the opposite effect because by you reaching out and being needy, she's like, now I'm more repulsed by you, right? Because you need.
Yeah. And like so we're, she's a huge Bible reader and she likes her morning time, right, in the Word. And I do too, but when I'm super like in it, I'm better than at other times. But like even little things like, okay, I'm sitting in the living room reading and she's in the bedroom reading,
Yeah.
and like, great. But that's a little bit of a covert, like, I want her to see me reading, or am I really reading to read?
Right. Right.
Right. So so now like I do my reading and she likes her alone time in the morning, and I go to the gym. And I don't go to the gym because I go to the gym because I want to go to the gym, and I'm not
Right.
sitting around wondering, oh, did she see me reading? Like, that's weak, right? That's not the masculine. The apex guy's like, see you later. I'm going to the gym. I'll be back later. Like,
Exactly.
it's,
And weak is a good word. I think another word to look at it is it's like it's dependent, which is like you need her validation of your own worth. And what that does to a woman, or I think not even just a woman, just a person in general, like
anybody.
when you feel someone like needs you to validate their sense of worth, just because of that perception, they see you as less worthy. You can't help it. You're creating that, right? You're the one that's
Right.
creating that, right? So
Right.
how did you overcome that? Just becoming aware of it, or like what did you focus more on yourself? How did you make that shift?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of it's momentum,
Sure.
right? Where if you're making positive deposits and you're getting a little better reactions, you know, but at some point I said to myself, well, it's the apex stuff, right? Where it's like, regardless of her reaction, right? As an apex man, you have to do what you're supposed to be doing, right? Which I always did, but then when a spouse starts to pull away and you feel a little insecure, that's when you get a little needy. But even if you feel needy, you have to know consciously and intelligently, I got to do the stuff I'm supposed to be doing,
Hmm.
which is good for me anyway.
Hmm.
So don't worry about the reaction you're getting
Hmm.
for a certain response. Just do what you're supposed to be doing.
And the ironic thing here, Frank, is like that's the for 99.9% of men. I'm not going to say all because who knows, but that's who you were when you met her.
Yeah,
Like you were in that state where like I'm good with me, and then she was attracted to that. It's almost a law of nature of the
yeah,
universe that a woman people are drawn to those who are self-sufficient, right? That don't need others. It just is what it is.
right.
Um, so would you say forgiveness played a role in the lessons you learned?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. My own forgiveness of myself in my own
Hmm.
behavior,
Yeah.
right? And then positive deposits, which I mentioned earlier, where, because she said to me, because she's a Christian woman, I forgive you,
Hmm.
but I'm definitely having trouble forgetting
Mm.
a lot of your behaviors.
Mm.
But the calm voice that I learned in your course is immeasurable.
Mm.
Immeasurable. Because I was, I'm like a fiery Italian guy, right? So like, sometimes she would say something, and I've become not a yeller, but like in my household growing up, there was yelling. So
Right.
when we first met, I raised my voice a couple of times, not really to her, but to my own two biological children, which made her feel completely insecure
Right.
because she didn't grow up in an environment like that.
Yep. Yep.
Like her father's a pastor,
Yep.
and even though her father was a colonel in the army, he's a very sort of soft-spoken guy. So
I've heard plenty of examples of that, and that is such a good point because to someone, I'm not going to assume her whole childhood, but to a child who grows up and they maybe heard their parents yell once or twice, and that was like all hell was breaking loose. But in an Italian family, like that's a love language yelling at each other,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? So it's just, and that's it. That's just where like different beliefs and patterns of relationships can come up and really cause damage if you're not aware of it. It's like, why is she getting so upset that I raised my voice a little bit? But to her, that's like, oh, hell could be breaking loose. That's what she learned. So
yeah.
yeah,
Like me raising my voice a little bit, which is the household I grew up in, is
yeah,
to her, it's yelling.
yep.
And I'm like, I'm not yelling or whatever. But understanding, because a couple of times, it's funny because then a couple of times during this maybe last 90 or 120 days, she would raise her voice, and like she's not even like that
Huh.
because she was remembering some of the pain or it
Yeah,
was bubbling up. And I
yeah,
just went even, you know, which worked wonderfully. And that's who I want to be anyway. So I want to be that person more naturally. So it worked well because I mean, we didn't even talk about it, her and I, but just I think if I had the calm presence or the calm reaction to when she was fired up, that made her feel more secure.
sure. Yeah. Frank, what would you say was the biggest win through this whole entire program for you?
And the biggest win is the saving of the marriage that I don't think I did. I think it was a combination of me changing the coursework, you know, God was involved in that because I knew that he wanted the marriage to work, but I knew that I needed to be showing up differently. So the biggest win I think was the timing of it all.
Mm,
Like some of the stuff now that I learned from your courses has become more natural,
mm,
but I don't want to forget that it wasn't natural before, right? The not showing up as the apex man and maybe not masculine enough because I was being needy, not having all these positive deposits, all of that stuff existed. Because I think she said to me, I remember she said to me, like, I don't know, maybe it was like 2.5 months ago already. She's like, can you sustain this? Can you
mm.
sustain like helping in the kitchen and doing this and doing that? And she's like, can you sustain this? I'm like, absolutely. Because I don't, I said this to you earlier, I don't want you to be married to the person that you were married to before. So that fear that I have and insecurity a little bit of how I was making you feel, not building you up and having you wither a little bit, that fear drives me
Right.
because I want us to have a good life. I don't want to be that person for you. She had disdain towards me. Like we would like go to dinner with a buddy of mine who came across from Fort Lauderdale that I grew up with, and he'd be like, "Yeah, she was kind of like bitter towards you," and I'm like, "Why?" Like we went to therapy a few times, like the traditional therapy that didn't work, right?
Right.
And she's like, and I was like defensive. I'd be like, "This was 2 years ago. I'm a good guy. I work hard. We have a house on an island. We have a boat." She doesn't care about any of that.
No,
That's nonsense.
no,
Like you can't buy love,
no.
So now in my humbleness, I'm like, none of that matters. I want you to feel safe when you're with me. Like I want you to like want to like, pick dandelions on a Saturday. Like I don't want you to feel forced to do that.
Yeah. Wow.
So
And through all this, I mean, that is a beautiful win. And what would you say is the most powerful lesson you learned that you haven't spoken to already?
I think the most powerful lesson is, yeah, you have to do the work on yourself, especially us men, right? Like we think everything's great until it's not.
Mm,
We think everything is great. That was a huge lesson too. Like it didn't just like they didn't just lose their mind and say, I want to be separated, right? This is a culmination of many years. So I learned that in your course. It's a culmination of many, many, many years of maybe them not saying as much, but our behavior needed to change. And then, thank God I got woken up, right? So it was very valuable because it wasn't just overnight. It,
Yeah.
it took a long time to get there.
Well, you're speaking to this is kind of full circle, right? Because if you go back to the original point of like the issue, which is like that neediness when she started to pull away, that dependency, the antidote to that would be like, oh, okay, I'm not only going to change as a man, but I'm going to do these things for God, for myself, not to get her back, right? That's that whole outcome versus process, letting go of that. And then when you can actually truly, you can't fake it. 'Cause a lot of guys, okay, cool, I'll do this for myself, but like you can't fake that. And she knows
Right.
it. And it's a beautiful, I think it's a beautiful thing too, that you can never fake that. She'll know. And so
Yeah.
when you authentically like, I am doing this because I want to be a better man, and she senses that, she's going to test it. As you know, the testing is, a component
Yeah.
of that. But when she tests it and she sees it's authentic, and was there a moment you think she recognized that? Like, okay,
Yeah.
what
She
was
used
it?
to say that to me. She
What
used
was
to
that?
say, don't do this just for me,
Mm,
right? Like
yeah,
you need to be right with God. You need to be right with yourself,
yeah,
right? And so she knew. So, and then, but I also learned you can't just be telling them that. Like
mm,
it's just words. You
right.
can't tell them, oh, I'm changing. They don't want to hear it.
No,
They want to see it,
yep,
right? They don't want to, it's not words, it's actions.
yes,
It's a shift in, and as guys, I think we, a lot of us think they are that person already,
yeah,
like, so I dealt with pride my whole life, right? I
hmm,
dealt with, you know, I'm a great athlete. I was a professional baseball player,
wow,
right? Like I made millions of dollars.
hmm,
She doesn't care about any of it.
no,
And guess what? I don't either. But for many, many years I did.
yep,
And I was resting on the laurels of things that I had done well. But
yep,
like it, women are so, I mean, you've said it in your courses, right? They're so much more in tune, they're so much more intuitive, they're so much more connected to their emotions. And here we are over here like pounding our chest, like saying, oh, we're wonderful. And they're like, guess what? You're not so wonderful. And it took me a long time to really lay down the pride and be more humble and be like, you know what? I really am not that wonderful, and I haven't been that wonderful. I could be, but wonderful in a different way than maybe we think we are when we're having cigars with our buddies,
yep,
right? Because like, who cares about that? And the
yeah,
world's full of that, and the world promotes that.
yep,
It doesn't do well in a marriage
nope.
or with our kids.
Yeah, it's and I wish more, and this is probably if I could teach one lesson to men, just have everyone just get it. This is probably the one lesson I would actually teach, which is like the idea of what women actually find valuable, because even society reinforces that, like, oh, you need to be super rich and all this stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, like that is valuable, but if you want to compare that to a man being present,
Yeah.
to a man being safe, to a man being leading, she'll take that guy who has almost no money compared to the guy who has millions and is just distracted, the Tasmanian devil, like you said, all over the place.
Hmm.
Because which one
Yeah.
makes her feel safer,
Right.
rather.
Right.
So, one last question. The final question I'd like to ask, Frank, unless you have questions for me after this, is if you can go back a year and get in a time machine and ask tell yourself a piece of advice he needed to hear, what would you say to him about this?
Yeah. Forget the money, forget the chase there. Listen to your wife,
Mm,
right?
mm,
From your heart, spend time because it could go away very quickly. And this is, you know, I'm so grateful to you, to God, no particular order, to the journey, right? Like one of my spiritual advisors says to me, in the middle of the mess, it was bad. Things were bad with my daughter, things were bad with my wife. He's like, ask God why he favors you. And I'm like, it's, it sounds like a trick question. Like I don't feel favored.
it's a good question. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm in a deep valley. But like when I look at this last 4 or 5 months, I'm so grateful for the struggles because the struggles is what allowed me to dig deep and
Mm,
focus and concentrate and say, what do I really want out of my life? So if
mm,
I could look, if I could talk to myself a year ago, like slow down, change your perspective, forget the money, forget the business stuff. Like connect your heart to your intelligence and look at the people around you because they are a huge blessing and you need to make sure you nurture those relationships, which I'm super grateful for now.
It's beautiful, man. And yeah, it's amazing. Is there any questions you have for me or anything you want
Well,
to
I
say?
think the one thing I do want to say on here, just for my own and for other men, is
Yeah.
this is not an arrival thing. Like,
Mm,
hey, I just scored a touchdown and we won the game. I feel like this is the beginning of a journey of change, and that like because like if I get cocky, like she'll be like, all right, dude, like you're back to your old self. So I it's the beginning of a journey of change that I think my relationship with her and with others can get to a level that it never did before. So I'm looking forward to the continuation of this and growing and learning, not just, hey, we just won the game type of thing, because that's when you backslide.
I mean, that's why I always tell guys at the very end of this too, which is, after you get to this point, the reason, I mean, not only if you serve other guys is it helps give a little bit more meaning to your life, but you reinforce those ideas in yourself the more you teach it, right? And so it's not like oh, I mastered extreme ownership. I don't have to worry about it ever again. No, these are values. You never master a value. You never master discipline. You never master ambition, right? It's something that you practice every day. It's like just like your body. You take care of your body. You take care of your marriage. You take care of yourself in regards to these ways to embody yourself as a man. And so I think the way that you put the reps in is like you to help other guys in the program that were at where you were, months, years ago. So
Yeah. Don't lose hope. If you make the deposits, you're making the changes. God's in control ultimately of the outcome. But if you become that apex man, then there's very good chances that the wife is going to notice. And those positive changes are wonderful for you as a human being too, most importantly. And then everything else will be a byproduct of your positive changes.
beautiful final words, Frank. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your material is amazing, and we all know, right? I'm on the internet too. I own a mortgage company. I do
Mhm.
seminars and all this stuff for real estate, and there's a
Beautiful.
lot of goofballs on the internet. And so
Of
when stuff comes across, you don't know if you can trust the people.
course.
So I saw your stuff. I knew you were authentic because of the way you come across.
Hmm.
You could tell. And not only are you authentic, but your material is very good, and the way you set up your program is excellent. So I just want to thank you.
That means a lot, man. That means a lot, truly, especially coming from you. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, guys. All right, thanks, Josh.